There were cars on both sides of the bridge falling onto the freeway.
Now on KZI 9 News at 4, tragedy on the tracks. 6 dead and dozens injured after an Amtrak train jumps the tracks and lands on Interstate 5 in Washington. Plus, a neighborhood on edge as police search for 2 people who fired a gun at a Eugene apartment complex.
And our first big winter storm is on the way. I'll let you know who can expect the snow as KEZI 9 News at 4 starts now.
Live, local, late breaking. This is KEZI 9 News at 4.
We are continuing to follow the latest on that deadly train accident in Washington State, where a high-speed Amtrak on its maiden journey from Seattle to Portland jumped the tracks on a bridge over I-5 just north of Olympia, Washington. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Bob Schaefer. As you can see behind me, this is just a devastating scene. For more, we turn to ABC's Scott Carty, who's been following this story from Seattle.
Amtrak 501, emergency. We are on the ground. We are on the bridge 5 at the school. Need EMS ASAP. It looks like they're already starting to show up.
Tragedy on the tracks. Just before 8 a.m. Pacific time, an Amtrak train traveling south of Tacoma, Washington, went off the rails and crashed on a busy highway traffic during rush hour.
Then I started hearing all the sirens and turned on the news, and then we saw it.
The Department of Transportation says at least 78 passengers and 5 crew were on board before it derailed and crashed onto Interstate 5. Several motorists on the highway were injured. Local authorities say all of them survived.
Right now, life safety is really our precedence right now. We've got fire and law enforcement that we really need to make sure, so we need to secure that scene. We need to make sure that those cars are safe before they can get on and check for more casualties.
Interstate 5 was closed in both directions, traffic at a standstill for miles. One victim on the train says he and his fellow passengers were tossed into the seats in front of them as it went off the tracks. President Trump expressing the nation's thoughts and prayers for the victims, but adding the need for changes to our nation's infrastructure.
It is all the more reason why we must start immediately fixing the infrastructure of the United States.
Officials say this was the debut run for Amtrak Train 501 heading from Seattle to Portland, the first to carry commuters on a new high-speed route that traveled further inland to improve travel times.
I was wondering if they did any dry runs on this before the passengers aboard. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. Very upsetting.
Scott Carty, ABC News, Seattle.
Thank you, Scott. Now, viewers are sounding off on Facebook about this tragedy. One person wrote, "It's a new high-speed train, but I can't help thinking of how many times I rode that route on Amtrak." Somebody else said, "Horrific and sad. My heart goes out to all those involved." And of course, that Amtrak derailment has impacted some trains right here in Eugene. KZI 9 News reporter Brady Wakayama is live at the Amtrak station in Eugene with the status of scheduled trains in our area. Brady?
Bob, I spoke to staff here at the Amtrak station. They told me that for the most part, things have been running smoothly. And as you can see behind me, their next scheduled train is scheduled at 4:30, and that's the last one of the day. Now, staff with Amtrak say that there is one train headed to Eugene from Seattle right now. It hasn't been canceled, but is expected to be delayed 45 minutes because trains are being detoured around the derailment. The same thing goes for another train that goes from Seattle to Portland. I spoke to one passenger who told me her train headed to Oakland is delayed. She says it's not ideal, but says there are other things to worry about now.
I'm sorry that it's happening, but I'm more concerned with the reason that it happened and the people that you know, the fatalities. My situation's secondary to that.
There are 3 trains heading north that run out of the Willamette Street station Monday through Friday. Staff say one train goes directly to Portland while the other 2 stop in Portland and then head to Seattle. They say that any of the trains heading north could expect some delays because of detours. Now, this train derailment has a lot of people needing to rearrange their travel plans. Coming up on KZI 9 News at 5, I spoke to Greyhound buses to see if their business has been impacted by the Amtrak derailment. Live in Eugene, Brady Wakayama, KZI 9 News.
All right, Brady, thank you very much. Of course, we're continuing to monitor this story as it develops. For the very latest information, we invite you to go to our website at kzi.com. Police are still searching for 2 men who they say fired shots at the Courtside Apartments on Saturday night. KZI 9 News reporter Rachel Maurer is live in Eugene with what we need to be looking out for. Right, Rachel?
Bob, I'm here outside the Courtside Apartments. Today's staff here is still cleaning up the mess left behind by that shooting. As you can see there, glass is littering the floor today. Management is still vacuuming it up. Now police say they think two men, Jacob Richter Shea and Cody Moore, may be to blame for the incident. Richter Shea may also be going by the name Smoke. Police say he's a suspect in multiple crimes, including domestic abuse and at least 2 shootings. And Moore is a suspect in at least 2 of those. Tonight, police are warning the public.
Both of the subjects are considered armed and dangerous. Anybody seeing them or having any contact with them should call 911 immediately. If anybody has any tips related to the incidents or knowledge of either of these individuals' whereabouts, they should call 541-682-5837.
Richter Shea is about 6'1" and weighs 178 pounds. Moore is 5'10" and weighs 150 pounds. Again, do not approach the men if you see them. They could be armed and dangerous. If you see those men or know where they may be, give police a call. At this point, the investigation is still ongoing. Live in Eugene, I'm Rachel Maurer, KEZI 9 News.
All right, Rachel, thank you very much. Now, a disturbing case out of Eugene where a man faces 3 counts of animal abuse, accused of killing his girlfriend's dog. Officers arrested Darren Malnar on Thursday after his girlfriend called them saying he killed her Chihuahua mix and put him in a dumpster behind her home on Darlene Lane. Police and Animal Services found the dead dog in that dumpster. They say Malnar turned himself in at Eugene Police Headquarters Saturday night. Andrea Baber from Cottage Grove was arrested by Douglas County deputies on Friday. Investigators say she's a former teacher at Logos Christian Academy in Springfield, and they received a tip that she was having an affair with a former student who is still a minor. They also say she gave that student pot. We'll have a live report on this story coming up tonight on KEZI 9 News at 5 and 6. And 1 person is dead after a late-night RV fire in Talent. Police say the fire happened at the Totem Pole Trailer Park on South Pacific Highway last night. Investigators say 38-year-old Morella Bailey was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. And the city of Salem remains without its key water source after thousands of gallons of gas leaked into the North Santiam River. This comes after a man driving a fuel tanker lost control and rolled the truck. Deputies say it burst into flames, killing that driver. This all happened Friday night on Highway 22 near the town of Idana. The fuel tanker spilled 11,000 gallons of unleaded gas. The city of Salem says it has shut off the water supply as a precaution and switched to backup supplies. 170,000 people in Salem use water from the North Santiam River. ODOT says it's not sure how long Highway 22 will be closed meanwhile. Currently, drivers are being rerouted onto Highway 20. And OSP is warning everybody not to take GPS detours down Forest Service roads. You never know where that GPS will lead you. In today's crime alert, Albany police are asking for help finding a woman who paid for food with a forged $100 bill. Police say they're looking for the woman in this photo. They say she used fake cash to pay for deli food at Safeway this past Friday. If you have any information about this or if you can identify that woman, you are asked to call the Albany police.
Now, your first forecast with Chief Meteorologist Marissa Walzen.
Well, it's a pretty nice day outside. We do have plenty of sunshine, even for those of you in the Umpqua Basin who spent a lot of last week stuck under the fog. But you can see we do have some clouds moving in across the area. A few little light green spots here or there. So not going to roll a couple of sprinkles through early tonight up near Lincoln County. But we are looking at a lot more rain and a lot more snow in the mountains as we get into tomorrow. But here's a live look right now over Roseburg. You can see not only above at the sky, nice blue skies, but also down below all the city buildings here, plenty of trees. We are looking at mostly clear skies at this hour. Temperatures are not too bad either. Currently, we're at 50 degrees in Roseburg and across the rest of the area, looking at the 50s along the coast, mainly in the 50s along I-5, except for Cottage Grove at 47 degrees. And we have a mix of 30s and 40s across the passes. Tonight, we'll keep plenty of clouds. Going to add in a few more showers along the coast and for the Willamette Valley. Lows are just going to be in the low 40s. But again, we have some winter weather expected as we get into tomorrow. Winter storm warnings as well as winter weather advisories are in place. I'll break everything down coming up in just a bit. Bob.
Big changes on the way. All right, thanks, Marissa. The Eugene community remembered and honored Major Thomas Egan today. Of course, he's the man who inspired the creation of the Egan Warming Centers. Egan froze to death during a snowstorm on December 18th, 2008. A service was held this morning at First Avenue and Blair Boulevard. That's where he passed away. Eugene Mayor Lucy Vinnis, along with other local leaders, were on hand to remember Egan. We spoke with some people who knew him personally, and they say today is bittersweet.
So breaks our hearts to have to memorialize him today in this fashion. But the ray of hope is that Tom has seeded a lot of inspiration for people to do things, to take care of the folks who are in the same situation that he was in.
The Egan Warming Centers are a community-led and almost entirely volunteer-run program. They provide shelter in nearly a dozen local faith communities when temperatures drop below 30 degrees. And the community is chipping in to help the Coburg Police start what's called a CHET Fund. CHET stands for Community Helps Easing Troubled Times. Coburg Police Chief Larry Larson says they want to follow the same model that the Springfield Police Department has. The department got the idea to start the CHET Fund after a family donated $200. Larson says with the interstate nearby, they often come across situations where people are in need.
Meals, gas, that seems to be one of the biggest needs with people coming in off the interstate. And again, there might be like a house fire that people need a motel room. I know that we had to go buy some baby formula for a young mom that didn't have food for the baby. And we really just came out of pocket to buy those type of things.
He says that the program is now in place after the City Council approved the CHET Fund last Tuesday. What a great thing. Good for them. All right, 'tis the season of giving, and one pastor is showing the world that gifts don't have to be wrapped. New on KZI 9 News at 4:30. The kind gesture to a man without shoes goes viral, and we're going to hear from that pastor who said it was a move he didn't have to think twice about. But first, holiday travel put on hold for millions of people. We'll have the latest on what's happening at the Atlanta airport. Plus hear from a local family who says that blackout left them stranded.
Live, local, late breaking. This is KEZI 9 News at 4.
Welcome back. Power has been restored at the Atlanta airport, but the travel nightmare far from over. Hundreds of flights have been canceled today, and it could be days before all affected passengers make it to their final destinations. ABC's Danya Bacchus has the latest from Atlanta.
That crippling power outage left thousands here at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport stranded, and many are still left wondering how they will make it home.
Long lines at ticket counters and security checkpoints with travelers trying to board flights. Widespread delays plaguing Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport means it could be days before all affected passengers make it to their final destinations.
The kids have got a flight. The Delta was able to arrange a flight for them direct, and I've got a 2-stop to Ottawa, and they're going to Montreal.
An electrical outage brought the world's busiest airport to its knees for nearly 12 hours.
Everybody walk towards the center point.
It's a nightmare. We have to go through the tunnels that are pitch black.
Hundreds of flights were grounded and some 30,000 passengers were surrounded by darkness.
People are helpless. They can't get down the stairs. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Monday, the power was restored, but the travel headache continued.
I was going to try to get to Birmingham. I was going to try to get to wherever, nearby. Not.
The hours-long blackout was caused by a fire in an underground electrical facility. Pictures show the damage from the fire that also knocked out the backup system. Georgia Power investigators are now trying to determine the cause.
A spokesperson for Delta Airlines, which has its biggest hub in Atlanta and was the hardest hit, says most of its stranded passengers have been rebooked and they should be back to a normal schedule Tuesday. Danya Bacchus, ABC News, Atlanta.
All right, Danya, thank you. Now this afternoon, we're hearing from a Corvallis family who was stranded in Atlanta. They're among the thousands of travelers affected by the Atlanta airport's massive power outage yesterday.
It's just crazy. People are looking at having to cancel their whole vacation because they can't get on any flights. We have everybody from yesterday plus everybody that wanted to go today.
Now, this was a look at the terminal as she was talking to us. Poor people, look at that. Lisa says she rented a car and stayed at a hotel last night. She's boarding a flight to Seattle and then to Eugene via Delta. Delta said on their website they'll reimburse passengers who had to make hotel arrangements. And AAA is expecting more than 107 million Americans will travel for the Christmas and New Year holidays. This is the most on record. They say in Oregon alone, 1.3 million Oregonians will be traveling. They say the vast majority, 91%, will be going by car. And at times on Wednesday, December 20th, the busiest times will be December 20th between 3 in the afternoon and 3 o'clock at night. Also, they say we're experiencing the most expensive gas prices since 2014.
And thank goodness it doesn't look like anyone's really leaving right now. And also some good news because a lot of kids don't have school anymore. Roads are just fine. Here is a look at some of our driving conditions across the area as we zoom into our usual slowdown. Yes, it's a little bit slow. It's just mainly because everyone's kind of funneling through to get over the bridge. But drive times only 5 miles per hour below posted speeds. A close look at the big winter storm on the way tomorrow coming up next. Yeah, what's with this? There's no prompter in one for Bob.
Now, Storm Tracker 9 weather with Chief Meteorologist Marissa Wolzin.
Well, it's a pretty nice day outside right now. We do have mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies across the area. And here on Storm Tracker 9 satellite and radar, you can kind of see our mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Yes, there's a few light showers off to our north, but we are in store for some rain as we get into tomorrow, some snow up in the mountains, and also some windy weather. So here's a look at what's on the way. As we've zoomed out, you can see a lot of moisture here, and all of this is expected to move in as we get into tomorrow. So let's take a look at Storm Tracker 9 Stormcast and kind of play this storm on through. We'll start it off tonight at about 5 o'clock. We'll put things in motion. Heading through about midnight tonight, we'll start to see a few showers pop in along the coast. The rest of us, though, just picking up quite a few clouds. Now, as we continue all the way through early tomorrow morning for 8 o'clock, for those of you that are still going to work, we're going to start to see that heavier rain move in north of Florence and then also moving into the central Willamette Valley, though the rest of us will see a few spotty showers here or there, but otherwise looking at cloudy skies. Now we continue closer to about 11 o'clock, that good heavy band of rain beginning to slide down through that orange, indicating that heavier rainfall, and that will continue to slide to the southeast by 1 o'clock. We'll see a lot of rain across all of western Oregon until you climb in elevation. Now tomorrow, the freezing level will start at about 5,000 feet, but as this cold front moves through, which is what this band of rain is, we will see that drop to down to 2,000 feet, meaning we'll see some snow across the mountain passes and at some of the lower elevations, because you can see once the bulk of that front slides to the southeast, that snow line begins to fall closer to about 2,000 feet by 4 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. And then once we head into tomorrow night, we'll still see snow above 2,000 feet, rain showers below that, continuing actually all the way into Wednesday and mainly throughout the day on Wednesday morning. But here's a look at what we have in place. We have winter weather advisories issued, winter storm warnings issued. They go into effect tomorrow morning and they go all the way through Wednesday morning. And here's a look at more detail. The one for Douglas County, yes, it looks like it's the whole county, but it's actually just above 2,000 feet where we are looking at 1 to 3 inches of snow, and then above 3,000 feet looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow. So this is a concern for those of you that are traveling to the south along I-5. Some of the passes here get close to 2,000 feet, so we could see some snow across the tops of those passes. Also, if you're traveling south down across Siskiyou Pass in California, you will also likely run into some snow there, as we are expecting a couple inches of snow across that pass. Now for the foothills of the Cascades, or just the Cascades, we do have winter storm warning here above 2,000 feet looking at 2 to 4 inches of snow. This line gets so close to the Willamette Valley because we do have the Coburg Hills there that do sit at about 3,000 feet at their peaks. Above 3,500 feet, we'll see 4 to 8 inches of snow, and then 8 to 12 inches of snow at the very top of the passes, though even above that, we're expecting even more snowfall. Now finally, for the coast range, we have the winter weather advisory because the snowfall amounts aren't expected to be as much, but we are still looking at about 2 to 4 inches of snow above 2,000 feet. So mainly above 2,000 feet, that's going to be that barrier where we're starting to add in the snow. We'll see higher amounts at the higher elevations. Tomorrow, a lot of us will see the rain, but we're also going to see the wind. Wind gusts along the coast will be near about 40 miles per hour, and in the Willamette Valley and foothills of the Cascades, closer to 30 miles per hour. Winds will be lighter, though, down to the south. But you can see we'll have a few more showers into Wednesday, start of winter on Thursday, and a slight chance for a couple showers into Friday, but Friday's storm is nothing compared to the one that's moving in tomorrow and Wednesday. And you can see all the way into Christmas, we are going to get into a dry pattern, more sunshine out along the coast. Now, the Umpqua Basin will also have that rain on Tuesday with some showers continuing into Wednesday. Slight chance for a shower on Friday, but then back to the pattern, which may get us stuck in the fog as we head into the weekend and next week. Now, the Cascades, we are looking at some snow here again across the top of the passes, 4 to 8 inches of snow on Tuesday. And then once we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday, we're going to add another about 8 to 15 inches of snow. And yes, that seems like a lot, but we will see that higher amounts closer to the top of the passes. And finally, for the Willamette Valley, looking at rain tomorrow and windy. Could have some gusts around about 30 miles per hour. Looking at more rain on Friday. Start of winter, though, rather calm. And then even for Christmas, we may get stuck in some fog. We may have some freezing fog as well, getting kind of back to that pattern, unfortunately, like we had this past week. But a good storm coming in tomorrow. If you do have plans to travel across the passes, just be extra careful. We may have chain requirements at times. Yeah.
Sure did. didn't seem like a December day today.
No, definitely not.
All right, thank you very much, Marissa. Well, those devastating wildfires in Southern California have many farmers worried about their crops. How the fires could affect people far beyond California, coming up next. In Fire Watch now, the massive wildfires in Southern California are doing more than damaging homes. In some cases, they're damaging livelihoods. As Matt Boone explained, several farms have lost their whole orchards of avocado trees.
The season really just is beginning this week.
The orchard was the pride and joy of Wayne Bryden at Delray Avocado.
Avocados don't like temperatures, say, over about 95.
And this valley had a nice coastal breeze.
It's just in a really nice location. Healthy trees, a history of good crops.
But the well-watered trees,
You know, it's burned through the bark.
were no match for the lilac fire.
Just burned so hot.
It was expected to be a big year.
There was a very heavy crop in here.
After a not-so-great one.
Last year was a down year for California, and this one was going to be a bumper crop.
But this year,
you know, see, it all got cooked on the bottom.
all they'll be harvesting are the burnt remains.
The best we hoped for, that it wouldn't have gotten the whole grove, which it did.
And they weren't alone. At least 4 other avocado orchards were damaged, according to the San Diego Farm Bureau. But in total, about only 100 acres of farmed land was affected.
The industry is fortunate, not the growers, not the individual parcels.
Bryden says they'll take a hit, but this farm was only 7 of the 200 acres they manage.
Well, fortunately, we're diversified.
They're planning to replant, but with the current demand for new trees, that could be another challenge.
Most of the nurseries are sold out for 2018, so we don't know if we'll be able to buy 500 additional trees here for this spring or whether we'll have to wait for the following spring.
Again, that was Matt Boone reporting. In other news now, the Douglas County Fair has announced it will be going back to its original 5 days instead of 4 because of low attendance. So far, the community has reacted by saying that wasn't the reason they weren't attending in the first place. The price was. Many people say they believe the fair has been too expensive for years now. They say it doesn't seem right to not be able to attend an event that's meant to represent Douglas County.
I mean, that's what we are. That's who our community is. Everybody should be able to have a chance to go and enjoy that and be a part of that.
Now, she says something needs to be done to allow more people to enjoy the fair. She suggested a program where people can qualify to attend for free, but then those days could be spread out, so not every free admittance comes on one day. She says she hopes the fair can find a way to include more of the community and still not lose money. In the spirit of giving, one pastor shows us that not all gifts have to be wrapped. Coming up next on KEZI 9 News at 4:30, we're going to hear from the man who says